What is a principal-agent relationship in a negotiation? Well, a principal is an individual who uses a second party, that is, an agent, to act on their behalf as if they were acting themselves. So the agent has authority that is vested by the principal to act on their behalf, and in many situations bind or commit the principal with their actions. So in a negotiation, an agent is negotiating on behalf of the principal. Now, there are numerous advantages to this approach. An agent may have specific expertise or substantive knowledge that can be used in the negotiation that the principal does not have. They may have networks or special influences that otherwise the principal doesn't have. They're generally emotionally detached. Oftentimes, it's not advantageous for someone to negotiate a scenario that is highly emotionally charged because the emotion can affect logic. And oftentimes in a negotiation, proceeding logically is going to be the preferable approach rather than allowing emotions to influence your decisions and actions. So the agent can have a level of emotional detachment that the principal might not have. Okay. Also, the principal can allow the agent to act on their behalf and define the authority of the agent. But if the agent does something that goes beyond their authority, then the principal has the ability to say, well, this was beyond the authority, and not agree to it or otherwise back away from the situation, or accept it, ratify it, if you will. And if they ratify it, they basically extend the level of authority that the agent had retroactively. So this is an advantage. And oftentimes you can use an agent to undertake task or to approach something in a given way that shields you from negative perceptions. It can help you save face in a given scenario. It may be difficult for a principal to be willing to concede on certain points or grant concessions on certain points, particularly if they've made announcement or boasts in some way. They don't want to lose face by then conceding or giving ground, so allowing the agent to do it oftentimes saves face in that scenario. But there are disadvantages as well to using an agent. One, the agent is going to receive compensation usually in this scenario, and that diminishes the zone of potential agreement between the two parties to the negotiation, because some of the value that's being exchanged there is being claimed by the agent. So it shrinks that potential zone in which an agreement can be reached, because there has to be greater value achieved by the principal who's using the agent. Okay. Now, oftentimes the agent will not have a compatible incentive structure. Oftentimes the agent is incentivized to close a deal quickly, when it's not necessarily in the best interest of the agent to do so. Maybe they should negotiate longer. So that's an incompatibility. And oftentimes the agent is paid based upon hours worked. And in this scenario, it's to the agent's advantage to extend a negotiation where it would otherwise be advantageous to the principal to end it quickly. So these are examples where there's a misalignment of incentives in the negotiation between the principal and agent. Communication is always difficult between two people, and when you bring in a third party there where the principal is communicating to the agent the intent and purpose, and the agent then has to communicate that to a third party and craft messages that deliver that point or arrive at that point, there can be a distortion in what's communicated. Also, it's going to be very difficult for an agent to craft a message the same way that a principal would, or to take the same voice or the same level of emotion or other aspects that the principal is trying to convey to the agent. So with this being said, there can be distortion and issues with tuning the message, as they say. And obviously, the principal, anytime you use an agent, you're going to lose some level of control. There's going to be some level of autonomy in what the agent does that's going to diminish your control. And oftentimes, the agent is focused on an agreement at any cost, right? And this oftentimes means that they will not hold their ground, or they are less likely or willing to walk away from the negotiation or stay hard to their their best alternative, or to choose a different alternative. So in this way, once again, it can be a disadvantage. Now, some tactics for using an agent effectively. One, find the right agent. Look around. Not all agents are going to be the same. They're not going to have the same knowledge, skill set, or other advantages that come with the agent. So find one that works for you in your situation. Establish the power structure. Establish the authority of the agent up front. Let them know what you reserve as the principal with regard to decision-making authority and things like that. Okay. Identify the expertise of the agent. Make sure that you're taking advantage of that, because that's one of the key advantages of having an agent. They have knowledge, they have expertise, they have experience. Use that to your advantage and make certain you're granting a level of autonomy to the agent so that they can demonstrate that level of expertise. Okay. Use the agent's network. If they have connections, sometimes connections in a negotiation is everything, right? References to third parties, getting third parties involved in some way. It can add leverage. It can add referent power, as they say. So make certain you use that. Discuss with the agent the extent to which you are willing to ratify their actions after the fact. That is, if the agent exceeds their authority, are you willing to ratify their actions, whether positive or negative? And having this understanding establishes some formality to the relationship between the two. If you're going to use your agent to save face, let your agent know that this is an intention that you have, and this means that some of the negative perception goes on the agent sometimes, and this, if the agent's not aware of it, can alienate the agent from the principal, and you don't want to create a chasm there. So explain that in advance and make certain the agent is okay with it. And then if you do realize that there are some emotions present in the negotiation that can affect the means or method that you approach the negotiation, use the agent as a sounding board and for your decisions in the process, and oftentimes just grant them autonomy to make certain that they're a buffer for the emotions. If you believe your emotions will be affected by how the other side acts, make sure the agent is working as a shield to that so that you don't lose your logic and rationale in the negotiation because of your emotion and how you react to the situation. So all of these are good tactics to use when employing an agent in a principal-agent relationship in a negotiation.